All right, welcome back to learning with how to paint with acrylic paint. Today we're going to review the concept of value. If we think back to watercolor, we would lighten our watercolor with water because we did not have white paint in watercolor. And we darkened our watercolor with black paint, which was actually a color called Payne's Gray. We're going to do the same now in acrylic. I have Payne's Gray, which is very close to black, but it does have a little bit of a blue tint to it. And now we have white paint. So what I'm going to do for this activity is pick a color. It doesn't matter what color you choose. I think at the paint stations right now we mostly have just primary colors. I'm using this kind of turquoisey color because I think it will show up well on the camera. So you can see I've painted my color here in the middle, and now what I'm going to do is take a little pile of that paint and move it out here on my palette so that I have a section that I can make lighter and a section that I can make darker. So I'm going to go ahead and go lighter first, and I'm going to grab just a little bit of white and I'm going to mix it into this pile. Now, white paint doesn't change color very dramatically very fast. So you see I only put half in to start with, but I needed all of it to make it even a little bit lighter. Black paint, of course, has the opposite problem, and that it will change a color too fast. We want gradual steps. So you can see it just got a little bit lighter. And I'm gonna add just a little bit more white, keeping my mixing pile small. If when I paint it over here, it doesn't look as much lighter as I thought it would, I can always grab a little bit more paint and mix it and change the color while it's still wet. Still feels the same color, so we're gonna go grab a little bit more white. Paint it over here and see if it looks like it got lighter. Those are exactly the same color, so I'm gonna grab more white. So I want my color to gradually change. So, and then I'm remembering that this is for practice, right? So if I paint a color down and it doesn't feel like what I wanted, it's not for me to just say, oh, well, I'm done, it's not right. It's for me to practice. So you can see because of the white not being very strong, I went ahead and just used the paint that's in my paintbrush, mixed with the white to make my next color. And now I think I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm just gonna mostly grab white with just a tiny bit of blue that's left from my brush to make my lightest color. So you can see I gradually step lighter as I move down my value scale. I'm gonna do the exact same thing now with that little pile of the turquoise and my black. So where white didn't darken it very fast, the black is going to be very dramatic, I'm afraid. So I have just the tiniest little corner, and I'm gonna put that down, and we'll see, I need just a little bit more. Oh, too much. So now I'm gonna grab more of the turquoise, working for gradual steps. So I don't want to go too dark too fast, but I do want it to look a little darker. So you can see there, a little bit darker. Now I'm going to grab a little bit more of this, make that color just a little bit darker. And I'm just going to gradually shift that color darker and darker as I move down my value scale. Oh, that's gonna be too dark. I'm gonna need more of the turquoise. I was running out of paint. My paint pile was a little too small. Not darker enough. I'm also trying not to mix it in with the one that I added the white in, because that changes everything. Definitely darker. And as these dry, if I have to adjust one, like a little darker, I can. So like these are super similar. So I could go back, and after my paint is dry, I could adjust those darker a little bit. Okay. So there is value step 1 is to mix and create the values on my sheet using my palette as a mixing method.